Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias, and today we're going to take a second look at the Orion V2. But first, I just want to say LDY sent this out for free for the purpose of these videos. Any and all opinions are my own, and I do not have any other financial affiliations with LDY. I don't have an affiliate link or a discount code that you can use or anything like that. Take that as you will. Just want to make sure that you are aware of that. Here's what came in the unboxing experience for my Orion V2. I have heard mixed things on whether or not other people also get this experience with theirs, but this is what came with mine. Pretty excellent A+ unboxing experience if you ask me. But when it comes to the Orion V2, I wanted to answer what I thought would be a simple question. Is the Orion V2 an upgrade from the V1.5? I mean, in name you would think so. V2 is better than V1.5. But I think answering that question is much more difficult and much more biased than a lot of people realize, because as much as I wish I could, I can't answer that in a very clean, catch-all, satisfying way. It's going to have a lot of but this, and maybe if you like this, and yeah. So let's go through that journey. But first I want to look at this from the lens of, is this an upgrade from the perspective of LDY and what they set out to do with the Orion V2 as stated on their website. They say it's a neutral balance through optimized weight distribution without sacrificing momentum. They say that they change the pivots to be more durable and to help with tuning. And they say that it has functional side jimping for enhanced grip and a more aggressive aesthetic. If you ask me, besides the pivots, because I haven't taken this thing apart and I haven't beaten this thing, it's not really my side of Balisong YouTube, so I will leave other people to talk about their experience with that one. I think the other two, at least in my opinion, they have failed in terms of actually meeting that goal as an upgrade for the Orion V2. Because let's look at it. The jimping. It kind of sucks. I have to be honest with you. The original Orion jimping was pretty good, especially the stuff on the Orion 1.5. I really like it for being kind of the best of both worlds. For people who like jimping, it was decently grippy and it caught your fingers really well, and you were able to use it as what jimping is supposed to be used as. It gripped your fingers and it felt nice and rigid and ridgy, and it gripped your fingers, and I've said that like 5 times now. But for people who didn't like jimping, it didn't go up very far, so it wasn't very intrusive to someone who didn't want that experience. Compare that to the Orion V2, which you can see has this spacer jimping on the new and improved carbon fiber spacers. And I have a huge problem with that, because I like to say that the best jimping is only as good as its worst side. And if we look at the worst side, you'll see that there's no jimping almost whatsoever. Now, Ethan, I hear you saying, there's jimping right here with these diagonal cutouts. But if you look closely at it, those diagonal cutouts are only on the diagonals. If you run your finger down the flat face of this handle, there's nothing there. There's nothing to grip onto. Your fingers aren't getting anything, because this is the part that actually comes into contact with your fingers. This is just aesthetics. There's no functional jimping here. And even on the side that does have the jimping, while I do have to give them credit for using positive jimping, meaning that the jimping sticks out further than the handle does, it's made of carbon fiber, which is a bit more of a slippery material, which means that the grip that you do get from it does not do nearly enough to offset the grip that you don't get from this side. So in my opinion, the jimping is just straight up not an upgrade. In fact, I wish it was never really changed at all. The balance is where it gets interesting, because I think that they absolutely have sacrificed weight here. In going from aluminum spacers to carbon fiber spacers, it's kind of inevitable. That's kind of what you have to do when you're dealing with material changes like that. And it's kind of going to be up to you whether you like it or not. In my opinion, and I hope to explain this a little better, but to sum it all up, I think the balance is an upgrade, but the momentum profile is a downgrade. So, the original V1 came out and it was very spacer weighted. There was a lot of weight in the end of the handles, had a good amount of handle bias to it, and people really liked it for that. Then they brought out the Orion 1.5, which took away some of that spacer weight, made the spacers a little lighter, and people did or didn't like that, depending on what your flipping preference is. The V2 has taken that a big step further. Now there's even less spacer weight in this, which means that in terms of momentum, it kind of feels like there's just none. I feel like this thing is constantly running a marathon and constantly winded, never able to take a full breath and actually get the full amount of work out of the steps that it's taking. And I have to put so much into it to actually flip it at the level that I want. Flip it slower and it runs out of momentum hilariously quick. Flip it faster and you really have to put a lot of energy into it for it to keep the momentum that you want through the combos that you're doing, which means that it might fly out of your hand sometimes because it just can't handle all of that energy that you're putting into it. That being said, if we go back to the 1.5, the trainer was something that I have never really felt fully comfortable with. I was always a little disappointed by it because the live blade is genuinely amazing. I think the Orion 1.5 live blade is just one of my favorite flipping live blades in general, regardless of price. It just does everything that I want it to do, and it was so impressive when I first took it out of that box. And I was hoping that the trainer would kind of deliver on that as well. And I feel like it hasn't. Don't get me wrong. The 1.5 is a great ballast song. I am not trying to say that it isn't. And I'm even not trying to say that this is a bad ballast song. This is LDY. They're known for a level of quality, and they have hit that quality. If you buy an Orion V2, I think you will be happy. Same with the V1.5. But the V1.5, whenever I flip it, it just always feels off. And I've done things about it. I've added, these little pins down here to increase some of the weight down there. I've increased the weight in the blade with the zippy inserts there. It's never felt totally right. I might feel, 95% confident while flipping it. So the balance changes that they've made with the V2, I think make it a better feeling flipper. Not amazingly because of that, but I feel maybe 96% confident while flipping it. So in my opinion, a slight upgrade, but still with some frustrations because I really do miss some of that momentum. Now, sure, you could probably put a pin in the holes that I can see here, get a little bit more momentum that way. Maybe there's something inside the spacers. Maybe one day I'll actually take this apart and look. But for right now, like bone stock Orion V2, I don't know. I think for me personally, it's an upgrade, but a very small one. And there are a few things that I wish never changed. I think the jimping is just straight up not an upgrade. The balance is an upgrade, but the momentum is also not an upgrade. I wish there was a little bit more momentum to go around. So in terms of the things that they set out to do on their website, I don't think they hit those goals. I just don't. It's still a good ballast song. I would still recommend one. I'm not saying this to say, oh, the Orion sucks now and you can't buy one. I think people will still enjoy this, but I don't think it's a clear-cut answer. If you're someone who loves the 1.5 live blade, this might feel like a downgrade to you. If you're someone who loves the V1, this might feel like a major downgrade to you. If you're someone who really enjoyed the upgrade from the V1 to the 1.5 and you want that to go further, this might feel like a big upgrade for you. So it's a really personal thing. A lot of people are going to have different answers to it. And I think that is ultimately what makes ballast songs so interesting. So the V1 or the V2, is it an upgrade? I have a hard time saying unanimously, yes, it is. But I also can't say that it's a bad ballast song. It does the tricks that I want it to do. Feels much better with fans and choker fans than the 1.5 did. Even if I'm missing a little bit of the momentum that I know and love from the V1 and the V1.5, and especially the Orion S. And if I had to rank them all in terms of flipping performance, it would go like this: least favorite, most favorite. Maybe these two would switch on occasion, but in general, there it goes. It does sit above its younger brother, but I don't think it will be that way for everyone. So hopefully I've given you a little bit of a window into what it's like to own the Orion V2. I'm interested to see if LDY will continue to make changes with the Orion, especially going into like a V2.5 or a V3, because I feel like if they continue down this path, we'll just lose the spacers entirely, and then there will be no momentum down there. But yeah, it's still an Orion. You'll still love it. Still a super high quality balisong at a great price. But it's also competing with its younger brothers that I think do have their ups and downs compared to it. It's not a satisfying answer, I told you, but it's something. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to LDY for sending that over. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next one. Later.